This is an old family photo of my great-grandmother. She's the one in the middle. Her twin sister, this is her, and her two half-sisters over here on the left. This was taken around 1896 in McKeesport, Pennsylvania. I feel like the photo is a little too blurry after it was scanned in, so I'm going to show you a method I use to sharpen it up. The original photo is not blurry like this one, so I'm just kind of under the assumption that the scanning process is what did this. If you have an old photo that needs a little sharpening, maybe this particular method will work for you. The first thing that we need to do is make some corrections on this photo. And there are really only two that I can see. This is actually, other than it's a little bit too blurry, this is actually pretty good. One is down here around the bottom. We have some scratch marks. I suspect this one was in kind of a cardboard frame. So I suspect I did this when I was trying to get the frame off in order to do the scan. So the easiest way to get rid of that is not to paint over it, but just to crop it. And then we can just have fresh new edges on the picture. So we will do that. And then once we get our edges, we can just press enter and then that crops it off. The only other serious thing I see, and this is really not that serious, is this little thing right here. And we can get rid of that by painting over it with the inpainting brush tool, which is hidden under the healing brush tool. So we go right in here, we've got the inpainting tool, and then we can just click over that and it will get rid of that little piece. One thing that you need to make sure of is that your monitor is cleaned off, because if it isn't, you have dust all over it and you might think that some of the dust are little spots that you have to take off. Why am I telling you this? Because guess who assumed that? That was me. So clean that monitor. Now the next thing we're going to do is to click on live filters right here. And then we're going to go up and find high pass. So click on high pass. This is the high pass filter. And the first thing that you see that is going to happen is that it will be completely grayed out. This is not a mistake. It's supposed to do that. So you'll go here and then we'll adjust the radius until you get to the point where you have an outline of the photo that shows through. So see, it looks like kind of a negative image, but you can see an outline of all four women in here. I can't tell you what the pixels are supposed to be for each picture because it's all different, but right now I'm around 5.6 pixels. That's not a big deal because if you want to make adjustments later, you can do that. Now the next thing we're going to do is to go down to the blend mode menu and click on that. And then I'm going to select overlay. And that would be this right here. I have been kind of exploring what these different blend modes look like, because I find some of them really sort of interesting. And this soft light might have been a good one to pick, but I decided to do overlay, so I'm going to stick with that. This vivid light really looks good, but I've decided to do overlay for this video, so I'm going to stick to my guns and do overlay. Click on that, and then you can close this. Now, in order to see if you really have a difference between this and the original, all you have to do is to unclick this and see it does have a little bit of a difference. So that's a little bit clearer than it used to be. If you want it to be sharper than that, you can go back in and open this dialog box back up and then fiddle around with your radius and see if it gets better. And to me, around 7 or something, I think that's what I'm going to need to stick with at this point. To add more sharpening, you can duplicate this high pass filter. So that's the first thing that's one thing we're going to try. So all you have to do is right click and then duplicate, and then notice you have another high pass filter that appears. So how much of a difference did that make? Well, just unclick this high pass filter layer and you'll see that it does make a difference. Now we can keep on going by duplicating another high pass filter layer. And notice that it sharpens up even more. So you can unselect the one we're working on, look at the original one, and see how much of a difference that makes. Now, we have to come back to something that you have to consider on this. The more filtering you do, the more sharpening you do, the clearer, more distinct it might make the image. However, if you take a look at her face, at the skin of these women, you'll see that it's starting to get a little bit grainy, and you may not want that look. The background doesn't really matter all that much because it's supposed to be, it's really wallpaper. They're sitting in a room with a fake facade on the back. But this, you might not want that too much. And so what I'm going to do, I think I'm going to go back one. So I'm going to delete one of these high pass filters. It doesn't matter which one it is, they're all the same. So I will delete this one. And then maybe, it may get a little blurrier. It's really not that blurry right now, but it does make the skin a little bit better. So it's going to be up to you how sharp you want this to be using the high pass filter. And you know what? Actually, after looking at this, I really like 3 filters on it. So I think I'm going to keep 3 high pass filters on there. So now we have our layer that have the high pass filter of pass effects on it. And then if we unclick this, you can see what the background used to look like, and clicking it on, what the picture looks like now. So give this method of sharpening up your image a try and see if it works for you. I'm sure there are other ways of doing this, and as I learn this more and more, I'm sure I'll find that, but I haven't found any yet. Remember, I'm in a learning process, a learning curve, just like you are. Stay tuned and see if I find out any more ways of sharpening an image or altering an image. I have another one down the road for next week. And also, remember to like and subscribe and ring that notification bell to be notified when another video drops.